Let's take a look at two scenarios. I have student A and I have student B. Student A is being distracted in class. He is just physically present and he is not following what the lecturer is saying. And we have student B. Student B is paying rapt attention to what the lecturer is saying and he is being able to encode and give a feedback on what the lecturer is saying. My name is Ishola Grace Jesitofun and I am a member of Group I. We would be discussing what listening is all about. I know we might all have our definition of what listening is all about, but today we are here to describe and to explain what listening is all about. So we'll be giving you the definition of listening and as well the processes in listening, the importance in listening, and the various skills that will be required in listening, and also the barriers that might affect our effective listening. So I would call on my colleague to give us or to explain more what listening is all about. Thank you.
Considering the scenario given by my colleague, student A is not paying attention, so he's just hearing, while student B is paying attention to what is being said, so he's the one listening. So I'll be discussing hearing and listening. What is hearing? Hearing entails the use of the sense organ of the ear, and you just have to hear, and you may decide not to listen, not to pay attention to what is being said. But listening, on the other hand, entails paying rapt attention along a communication line to be able to decode what is being said and respond adequately. Listening entails the use of the ears, the use of the mind, the use of the brain, and the use of the mouth. The ears for hearing, the mind for receiving the messages, the brain for interpreting these messages, and the mouth for responding adequately. Listening also entails being able to explain and decode non-verbal messages such as facial expression, body gestures, and even the tone of speech. So someone can act and you understand what the person is saying. Someone can act and you understand what the person is saying without the person necessarily speaking.
There are four forms of listening. We have listening for information or knowledge. We have listening to discriminate. We have listening for enjoyment or pleasure. And we have active listening, which is the advanced form of listening for information or knowledge.
Let's move on to the importance of listening. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Odwala Olabisi Aishat, and I'll be talking about one of the importance of listening, which is good listening enhances effective communication. In the sense that a good listener often becomes a good communicator because he or she has an understanding of what is being said and can communicate accordingly. Also, effective listening allows you to respond more thoughtfully and appropriately to what the other person is saying, which also helps to build trust and relationship, which is an essential component of effective communication. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Mobolaji Aminat Ayobami. I'm here to talk about the importance of listening. One of the importance of listening is it increases and builds interpersonal relationship. For a good listener to exist, he or she will be loved by others because he or she is ideal in person and it will be loved by everyone. Another importance of listening is it reduces misunderstanding. Misunderstanding is one of the most common effects of ineffective listening. As a good listener, one needs to understand a person that is speaking, which is the speaker, because it will lead to a good effective listening and speaking. So let's give for example, speaker A is talking at a moment and speaker B did not listen to speaker A very well. At that moment, it gives an ineffective listening. So for an effective listening to take place, a listener must be able to listen attentively. So one of the effective listening is giving attention and giving understanding to whatever is being said very well. Thank you.
Good afternoon, viewers. My name is Ajavon Dennis, and I'm here to take the step involved in listening. The first step involved in listening is receiving. This has to do with the sense of the ear, to be able to process, interpret words into context. What's involved in listening is understanding. Understanding is very crucial. This has to do with the brain to be able to decode whatever the speaker is saying, so as to give it context and words.
In continuation of what is said, the last three stages of listening is evaluation, remembering, and responding. Hi everyone, my name is Gracie Bironke, and I'm here to tell you about evaluating. Evaluating is all about when the listener is able to determine what the speaker has said, is able to determine whether the information the speaker has said is biased or unbiased, true or false, disorganized or well organized. In the evaluating process, the listener tries to understand and ascertain how and why the speaker has come up with the message they have conveyed. The listener tries to understand the speaker's point of view and know the right answer to give. The evaluating process is effective when the listener fully understands what the speaker is saying. The second to last stage of listening process is the remembering stage. Now, the remembering stage occurs when the listener is able to record information for later recall. The memory is very important in the remembering stage, as it helps us to record events, things, places, and objects for future use. Now, the remembering stage is very essential, and the remembering stage occurs during the speaker's speech and after the speaker's speech. If, for example, you forget everything you've heard immediately you've heard them, listening process will be impossible, conversation will be impossible to take place, and communication also would be impossible to take place. This is one reason why we need the remembering stage. The remembering stage is also a critical process in the listening stage, as it helps us to move on to the next stage of listening stage, which is responding. Responding is a stage whereby the listener is able to give effective and accurate reply to whatever the speaker has said. The reply can either be verbal or non-verbal.
Yeah, I'll be talking about what are listening skills. Listening skills entails paying rapt attention. Paying rapt attention in the course of a discussion or symposium led by a facilitator. Then the next one is focusing and facing the speaker in the course of a discussion in order to assimilate and grasp what the speaker is talking all about. And then listening skills as well entails making appropriate eye contact with the facilitator, and it also entails you not interrupting in the course of discussion in order not to make the facilitator or speaker digress away from the point he or she is trying to make at that course and point in time. So it also entails showing encouraging verbal and non-verbal cues, which is like a hint to the facilitator in order to like maybe buttress his or her point. And listening skills as well entails you clarifying, paraphrasing, and summarizing your own words for better and proper understanding. Listening skills as well entails you showing empathy, which is showing concern and in feeling towards others. And lastly, conclusively, listening skills entails providing feedback. Providing feedback in the sense of you trying to cut across to the facilitator or speaker what you've learned so far over in the course of the interaction and discussion.
There are few things that can prevent effective listening. Hi everyone, my name is Akiode Miriam and I'm here to discuss the barriers to listening. There are three basic barriers to listening. There is the physical barrier, the emotional barrier, and the psychological barrier. Physical barrier is when somebody or something is preventing you from listening. For example, distance can be a barrier. Emotional barrier is mind or rest or agitation, preventing you from listening. Psychological barrier is when we are judging the person we are listening to or assuming what the person might say. I hope we now fully understand what physical barrier is.
Regarding the importance of listening, a good listening skill helps us in resolving conflict and it also reduces misunderstanding. It allows us to understand and share feelings to others. And lastly, it promotes and exposes us to new ideas and perspectives.
In conclusion, I believe we now understand what listening is and we can differentiate between listening and hearing. And as well, referring back to my scenario, I believe we know the students that was listening and the student that was hearing. And it is very important in business. Listening is very important in business as it helps us build the business, build interpersonal skills, and as well make the business efficient. Thank you so much for listening. God bless you.